I know you've had a recent announcement from the county commissioners concerning the river, concerning the flooding. I will state that we flew up here today, flew along the entire Susquehanna River. It's amazing what the water is doing, has done to many communities, from all the way from the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, well up beyond here. But it's not over. We got out of the aircraft today, a very nice sunny day. On our drive over here, we came through 44th, and I said, what are all these people still doing here? I thought this was an evacuation zone. And the reason I asked that question is, were many people just standing around? There were people up on Levy. There were people on bridges with the water going underneath it. They are placing themselves in harm's way. And the reason I've asked to speak to you is I want to reinforce the press conference that was held before by the county commissioners and the serious nature of what's going on here in Luzerne County. You have a levee system that is being tested to its all-time biggest test since Agnes. Many of you in this room don't remember Agnes. I do. I was in the National Guard in 1972 and dealt with Agnes in the Harrisburg area. I remember the stories here from Luzerne County in this area from 1972. Senator, I don't think you were 2 years old. Yeah, don't remember. And I think many of the people here in Luzerne County along the river don't remember what happened at that point in time. I'm going to ask you in the media, go back and find your film archives and get the messages out that way and let them know what can happen. Right now, the county has indicated to me that they have serious concern with the levee over in 44th, and they are working on a section of it. Should that fail, there would be flooding all down along that western side of the Susquehanna, down through 44th, let me see where we're at, sorry, 44th, Kingston, and Edwardsville. Yet there were many people out on the street oblivious to the danger that they are in. Not trying to instill panic, not trying to scare people. We are trying to educate people. They are going to make their own decisions. But I will tell you, I will not have our troops, I will not have our troopers or the volunteers and the swift boats deal with people who may get themselves in harm's way if they voluntarily put themselves there, because they are putting other people in harm's way. That's one of the messages. Number two, from what I understand, some of you in the media are asking the people to send pictures in from their cell phones. Knock it off. You're putting them in harm's way. I'm very concerned about that, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Yeah, it's nice to have a cell phone. It's nice to walk down along the river. Nice to walk along the bridge. But some of the bridges I've seen people on in the helicopter ride that I took today, hopefully they're going to withstand the rest of the flood. But at one end of the bridge that's underwater, they walk in from a dry side, there is no guarantee, as far as I'm concerned, that that bridge is going to remain there. We know that PennDOT is going to have to come out and inspect every one of the bridges along the river, and yet you have people that are walking up on these bridges while it's still a very fast-moving river underneath. As we were flying today, we saw various debris coming down and hitting the bridges. Now, I'm not the engineer. I don't know how much damage each one of those hits does to a bridge. But I did notice that one of the times we saw was a propane tank from somebody's gas grill coming down and hitting the bridge. I don't believe it can do any damage, but it could. The people have to get themselves out of the way. The county has instituted an evacuation for 3 days. We're coming up on at 4 o'clock. We'll come up on the end of the first day. Please, if you evacuated, stay out. If you don't know the area of evacuation, do you have a website for this?
Yes, we do. We have the 800 number control lines out.
Okay, you've already given them that?
Already given them.
Direct the people to look at that as to what the evacuation was from the area of Agnes. But my concern is if we have a breach, people are just not paying attention, and there will be water sweeping down through 44 Kingston and Edwardsville. They're not going to have the time to get out of the way that they did during the course of the last 3 days when we all knew this water was going to rise and continue to rise. So I'm basically putting it on you to get the message out for us. The county commissioners have been trying to do it. People watch television, they listen to the radio, they read the newspapers. Newspapers aren't fast enough, sorry for those of you here in the newspaper. But you need to get the message out that this is still a dangerous time, even though it's nice and sunny out there. That I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Governor, about the gauge, National Weather Service gauges, the error or faulty gauge, whatever. Is there anything the state government or you as governor can do about that? I mean, it happened once here. Is it happening someplace else in another situation?
Well, I know in some areas, in the briefings that I've received over the course of the last 3 days, that I was told some of the gauges weren't working because they were so far underwater. Okay? More importantly, though, to me right now, that's an after-action report. Right now, our message is people have to get out. We'll worry about why they didn't work, what we can do to improve them afterwards. Right now, people have to keep themselves safe. Other questions?
Can someone tell us about what's going on at 44 and also what steps are being taken to at least, strengthen whatever has been weakening at this point?
I'll give it to you in layman's term that I received.
Okay.
The water is very strong and wants to go where it wants to naturally go. A levee is an artificial diversion of the water. The water creates a great deal of pressure, and the more water you have, the more pressure you have. Not only can the water go up, it can go down, it can go under. And there's a concern that it's trying to undermine the levee. There's reinforcing of the levee going on right now. There's been some bubbling on the land side of the levee that concerns them that there's a weakening. Nobody can measure the weakening. They're working on reinforcing it right now. Okay?
Governor, we're getting some reports of state roads that may not be able to open, some bridges of concern. Have you been brought up to date on any of those issues?
Well, I've been flying over them. I've seen, I can tell you, coming up along the river from Bloomsburg to here, there are a lot of roads. I don't know the names of the route numbers, but in a lot of areas, the roads are closed. They're completely covered in water. Will they come back? Sure, when the water goes down. What kind of shape that they are in, PennDOT's going to have to go out there. If they're a PennDOT road, and take a look at it. If they're a municipal road or a county road, those people have to take a look at it. I believe that in the area affected by the overall tropical storm Lee, during the course of the next 2 weeks, our PennDOT engineers and district people are going to be out looking at all the bridges that are state bridges. It's going to take a while.
Governor, is there any additional efforts going on right now in the areas that we were talking about, 44 Edwardsville, to get people out who are there or who have returned? I mean, are there trucks going out and
I have just had a meeting with the National Guard liaisons here. To my right, I should have introduced him, is Frank Noonan, the Commissioner of the State Police, but I think you all know Frank from his time here in the AG's office with me. And you know Senator, I never know how to say your name. Yudichak. Okay. I don't want to missay it. I've asked Frank to have his command structure here work with the National Guard to start getting the message out in 44 right now. I do not want to see those people there. They need to get out for their own safety and for their kids' safety. That's how many kids there. Think about your children.
Do you think there was a false sense of security when we heard that it had crested and was below the level? Is that what caused people to go back in?
Well, absolutely. And if there wasn't this bubbling that's going on a little bit, I don't think that the people here would be quite as concerned, but they are very concerned, and rightfully so. And the engineering people say that there is the potential, and that's not a problem, let's make that, but the potential. And you can make your analogies to 6 years ago if you want, to New Orleans. If there's a breach, if it breaks, there's going to be a lot of water moving very fast because there's a lot of water upstream.
Governor, when did you find out about the 42 six-figure, the record crest, and what was your reaction to that?
I found out about it when I got here. the reaction was obviously the gauges must not have worked. And I go back to, this is all, this isn't a perfect science. What the weather people are doing, what the river projection people are doing, they're basing it upon different models and so forth, and the data that comes in. And if the data coming in isn't correct, it makes it a little harder for the prediction. That being the case, I go back. That's not the important thing right now. Down the road, yeah. Down the road, we got to figure out how to remedy that. Just like, you know, after Agnes, they learned many lessons from Agnes. They built levees where they didn't have it before.
Right, but as Terry was saying, the 38.8 number may have created a false sense of security. People might have thought the worst was over. That could be a gaffe that, or not a gaffe, but a number that comes out that creates a window there where people are coming back.
But first off, there was an evacuation order no matter what.
Right.
Okay? And it's not the fact that the crest is 38 or 41 or 42 that we are concerned about. What we're concerned about is that the water is trying to get underneath and breach the levee that way. So when there's an evacuation order for 3 days, it doesn't mean, hey, when it gets sunny, come on back in after the first day. It
Right.
means it's an evacuation order for 3 days.
But human nature and the psychology of people, I mean, they see,
Well,
they hear 38.
okay, let me turn
they know
the table.
le-
Let me turn the
They
table.
know the
Human
levee-
nature, you all were down there taking your pictures, and some stations are encouraging people to go down there and take pictures. My job, his job, the National Guard's job, the Senator's job, we need to get the people out.